We live in a world filled with noise, voices promising satisfaction, glittering advertisements selling joy in bottles and boxes, relationships that vow fulfillment yet leave us more restless than before. And though we chase them with all the energy of a thirsty man in the desert, each one dries up in our hands, leaving us with the same gnawing hunger and unquenched thirst. The strange thing is that we are not surprised. Deep within, we already know the truth. Nothing finite can fill an infinite longing. This longing is not a flaw. It is the very evidence of our design. A fish does not long for dry land. A bird does not crave the depths of the sea. Our unrelenting hunger for something beyond money, beyond applause, beyond even the love of another human heart, tells us that we were made for something greater. And if all created things fail to satisfy us, then perhaps it is because we were never meant to be satisfied by them at all. Perhaps they were only meant to be signposts, shadows pointing us to the source of all light. That source is God. He is not merely an accessory to life, not a garnish we sprinkle upon the feast of our ambitions. He is the feast itself. Without him, even the grandest successes taste like ashes. With him, even the smallest crust of bread can become a banquet. He is not simply a comfort when everything else falls apart. He is the reason everything else holds together in the first place. Think for a moment of a lamp. Remove the electricity, and what remains? A cold, useless ornament. Its beauty, its purpose, its very existence as a lamp depend upon connection to the power that runs unseen through the wires. So it is with us. We may polish our lives to a fine shine, but without God's presence, we are only elaborate decorations, impressive to the eye yet powerless in the dark. The world whispers that we need more wealth, more recognition, more strength, more security. But this is a lie wrapped in glitter. What we truly need is not more, but the one who is enough. In him we find the strength to stand when the ground trembles, the courage to walk when shadows loom, the peace to rest when storms rage. All other needs are echoes. He is the voice. All other desires are rivers. He is the ocean. When we finally understand this, life ceases to be a desperate grasping and becomes a steady resting. To have God is not to have less. It is to have everything, for He Himself is the source of every good thing. And when all else fails, when time strips us of possessions, status, even breath itself, the one reality that endures is this: God is all you need. Nothing finite can fill an infinite longing. Nothing finite can fill an infinite longing, and this is the mystery written into every human heart. We are born with desires that stretch beyond the boundaries of what the world can offer. The richest possessions, the sweetest pleasures, the highest honors, and the most cherished relationships, all together, cannot silence that aching within us that cries out for more. We try to quiet it with distractions, bury it beneath comfort, or numb it with ambition, but it always returns, restless as ever. This longing is not accidental. It is not a cruel trick of nature. It is the compass of our soul, pointing us toward the reality that we were made for something greater than this world. If a fish were designed for the sea, then it would never be content on dry land. And if a bird were meant to soar, then it would never be satisfied in a cage. In the same way, we cannot expect our deepest hunger to be fed by fleeting things, because our hunger was never meant for them in the first place. The great tragedy of life is not that the world fails us, but that we continue to believe it should succeed. We chase wealth thinking it will secure us, only to find that the more we have, the more afraid we are of losing it. We chase pleasure thinking it will fulfill us, only to find it dulls with every repetition. We chase love from other people thinking it will complete us, only to discover that human hearts, like ours, are fragile and cannot bear the weight of being someone's everything. The longing remains because it was placed there by the one who alone can satisfy it. It is the signature of the Creator upon His creation, the whisper of eternity in the depths of time, the reminder that we belong not to the dust but to the divine. To seek fulfillment in what is finite is like trying to quench thirst with salt water. It only leaves us thirstier. The world is full of reflections, but not the source, of shadows, but not the substance. Every joy we experience here is meant to stir in us a greater hope, to remind us that if such beauty exists in the incomplete, then how much more in the complete. Every taste of love, every spark of wonder, every thrill of discovery, these are hints, not destinations. They are road signs pointing us beyond themselves to the one who gave them, the infinite source behind every finite gift, and until we turn to Him, our longing will remain unfulfilled. God is not part of the feast. He is the feast itself. God is not part of the feast. He is the feast itself. And this truth changes the entire way we see life. Too often, we treat God as though He were an addition, a blessing to sprinkle on top of our ambitions, a comfort we reach for only when our own plans begin to collapse. We may pursue career, wealth, or recognition with all our energy, and then ask God to bless the results, as though He were a seasoning to make our own recipe taste better. But God is not the garnish. He is the very meal, the substance without which every other bite turns to dust. Imagine a banquet table laid with countless dishes, glittering in variety and richness, yet all of them empty trays without nourishment. They may look impressive, they may even give the illusion of fullness, but without the true food they cannot sustain life. This is what the world offers without God: appearances without essence, beauty without permanence, abundance without meaning. When God becomes the center, however, every small portion becomes complete. A simple life rooted in Him becomes richer than the grandest palace built without Him. Even suffering, when endured with Him, is transformed into a place of strength, for He Himself is present. It is not what we have or lack that makes the difference, but whether we have Him. To believe that God is the feast itself is to recognize that joy, purpose, and peace are not found in the things He gives, but in Himself. His gifts are good, yet they are only reflections of His goodness. We may enjoy them deeply, but they must always lead us back to the giver, for if we stop at the gift, we miss the feast. When we treat God as one option among many, life remains unsatisfied, like a man staring at an empty plate while surrounded by shadows of food. But when we see Him as the very essence of life, even the smallest blessings become radiant, because they are illuminated by His presence. To make God the feast is to rest from striving, to cease the endless search for more, to realize that the fullness we have been seeking has already been offered. He is not an optional course we may choose or decline. He is the bread that sustains, the wine that overflows, the table itself upon which all goodness rests, and without Him nothing else on the table matters. All other needs are echoes. He is the voice. All other needs are echoes. He is the voice, and this is the heart of our existence. Every desire we feel, every yearning that rises within us, is but a reverberation of a deeper truth, a reflection of the one sound that gives them meaning. When we long for love, it is because we were made by love Himself. When we search for truth, it is because truth is the foundation of our being. When we hunger for beauty, it is because beauty itself is woven into the fabric of who God is. These longings are not independent. They are not random cries from the soul. They are echoes of the one voice that spoke creation into being and still whispers to us in the quiet places of our hearts. The tragedy comes when we mistake the echoes for the source. Like a traveler in the mountains who hears his own voice bouncing back from the cliffs, we may chase the sound as though it were coming from somewhere else, forgetting that it points us back to the origin. So we chase wealth thinking it will quiet the echo of security, yet the more we gain, the more hollow it sounds. We chase human affection thinking it will still the echo of love, but even the best relationships cannot erase our deeper yearning. We chase wisdom, art, success, pleasure, all of them good in their place, yet each of them is only a shadow of the greater reality. They are messengers, not the message, reflections, not the light, echoes, not the voice. To live as though the echoes are enough is to live in a world of half-truths, always haunted by the sense that something essential is missing. But when we learn to follow the echoes back to their source, everything changes. Suddenly, the beauty of a sunset becomes not merely an end in itself, but a reminder of the one who paints the skies. The joy of friendship becomes not merely human comfort, but a glimpse of the greater communion for which we were made. The thrill of discovery becomes not merely intellectual pride, but a taste of the infinite wisdom of God. Each echo leads us to the voice, and when we finally hear that voice clearly, the echoes no longer confuse us, but instead guide us home. This is why God alone is enough, because in Him the echoes find their fulfillment. The need for love is answered in His embrace. The search for truth is satisfied in His word. The hunger for meaning finds rest in His purpose. To hear His voice is to finally understand that every longing was placed in us to lead us to Him. Without the voice, the echoes scatter us in endless directions, but with the voice, the echoes harmonize into a song that draws us closer to the one who made us. To know God is not to silence our desires, but to discover their origin and their completion. The echoes were never meant to satisfy us. They were meant to awaken us, and once we hear the voice behind them, once we know the one who calls, then every echo becomes a joy because it reminds us of Him.